Hello, everybody. Welcome to week 4 of a year of game design. So far, so good. The calendar of January is almost full with game design on every day of it. So I'm pretty excited about that. And from a big perspective, I think that the whole idea of being held accountable by doing this digital journal is working for me. I think 28 days in a row of game design is the longest I've gone in a long time. So feeling pretty good about it right now. And I'll talk more about that at the very end. But a big week. I did decide to do my first game jam, the winter edition. I'm going to try to make a platformer, which is working title is called Tundra Runner. I've got a Trello board up that shows all the different tasks I'm working on, and I'll put a link to that down below in the description. I've got started. I think this is day 4 now of the jam. I've got 3 days worth of work in, so still a ton of stuff to do. It's hard sometimes to do like an hour or two. I'm hoping for a big weekend this weekend in order to make some progress on that. But it's been a lot of fun digging back in to do that. So other than that, things that have been done, got a little bit of work done on Laser Defender before the game jam started. So we'll take a look at that. I'll show what I've got done on on the game jam, Tundra Runner, and then take a little bit of look at some of the artwork stuff, the pixel art that's going to be in the game, because it's going to be a pixel-based art game. And so everything, all the assets in a game jam you have to create. So a lot of work there too. So 3 kind of different little mini segments in this week to show. And then I'll come back after that, talk a little bit about what's next and how kind of things are going between the head and how I'm feeling and things like that. But pretty excited about this Tundra Runner. It's going to be, I'm hopeful to make 5 levels. I'm going to start on the left. Run all the way across each left. You're going to get to the right-hand side. They're probably kind of a heat metric. So it's the whole theme of the game jam is cold. So I'm thinking that you'll have body temperature, and you'll have to, as you run across the landscape, your body temperature is going to be dropping, and you have to either get to like a fireplace that's going to be a safety point, or find some hot chocolate along the way to warm you up and drinking hot chocolate. There'll probably be evil snowman. I need an idea for a flying enemy. So if you have an idea for a flying enemy, that would be awesome. I was talking to someone who said maybe a flying Santa that drops presents on the person. That'd be kind of cool. Or something. And it has to be cold, winter, kind of frosty themed, because the whole game, the idea is cold, frosty, cold temperatures and things like that. So if you do have an idea for a flying enemy or any other type of enemy, you have to kind of keep the scope down because I've only got about another 10 days to finish it. But if you have an idea, I'd love to hear it. I'm still looking for other ideas. I was thinking a ground enemy would be a snowman, evil snowman that moves back and forth and things like that. But I'm up for ideas if you've got some. And so that's pretty much it for right now. Let's jump in and take a look at what got done. Then I'll come back at the end to talk a little bit about what's next and how things going between the ears. So I only spent about 2 more sessions on Laser Defender before I shifted over to the game jam. But we did get a little bit more done on the project. If we play the game now, we can see in the window here that the enemies move. And you can't hit them yet, but they have paths and things like that. And basically what we're working on is the system now to bring in waves of enemies and spawn enemies. And this was challenging for a number of reasons. You can see on the very right-hand side that we have what are called waves. And these were scriptable objects, easy for me to say, which is something I'd worked with before, but had completely forgotten about again. So a lot of this stuff is stuff I remember working with once. It's like, oh yeah, I heard of that way back then. And then I have to completely relearn it now. So I'm hopeful that by the consistency of working on this every day, this stuff will start to sink into long-term memory rather than being something that I have to continually keep learning. But basically, this sets up kind of enemy, the path route, the time between the spawns, number of enemies, and everything like that. And then we're going to build this into a pathing script and then somehow make the game work with all kinds of different waves and things like that. We're still, I think, a couple of sessions away from getting it all to work, but you can actually see some of the waypoints here from the past that are in this yellow side on the left-hand side here. So this was hard, though. There was one day where I basically went back, I think maybe 3 sessions I worked on it. I had to go back and just listen to all the instructions, all the videos again, because I did it, I got through it, and I had no idea what I did. And then the second time through it, it started to kind of make a little bit more sense. And now I kind of got it down. It's not in there 100%, but it's about 80% there. So it was nice to be challenged, too, in doing this. This was pretty fun. And if we take a quick, I'm not sure there's much value here in taking a look at the code real quick, but let's just take a look at it. You can see here, this is actually the configuration file for the wave. So it's got all the information here for the waves in it. And then you can create any number one of these I don't know why that's so hard to say, scriptable objects and incorporating them in games. So you can have all different types of waves with different types of characteristics and things like that. And then this is the enemy pathing script we're working on, which basically is pulling information from the configuration file, which determines how the ships move. So kind of fun, challenging week, definitely. Challenging 3 days here in that side. And now let's shift over and I'll take a little bit of a look. I'll show a little bit on what's going on with the Game Jam game that we've started to make. So here is the Tundra Runner, which basically done for it. It's going to be a platforming game where the player basically has to run from left to right across the field and kind of avoid obstacles and things like that, as I mentioned before. And so far, all that's really in. This is basically, I think, 2 sessions of work. I've got a player prototype in place. I've got the ground in place. I've got all the snow blocks in place. And the player can move left and right. The player can also jump. And if the player's in the air and you try to jump again, it can't jump again. So I'm working on next on some of the artwork. So let's go take a look at that. There's just one really simple script in here to control the player movement at this point in time. So let's go over and take a look at the next step, which is creating some of the art assets in Aseprite. So here's a look at the art and the asset animation process, character creation process I'm using. One of the challenging things about a game jam is you're supposed to create all of the assets within the length of the jam. So you have to basically, if you need a character or you need a scene or you need a tile, you have to kind of draw it and create it. And so this is an example. This is the program called Aseprite, which is, I think it's 10 or 15 bucks on Steam. There's a lot of pixel art programs out there, but this is going to be basically a pixel or dot art game. And so basically using a pixel art program to draw all of the things that I'll pull into Unity and then attach to objects in the game. This will be the surface of the objects. And this is a close-up. Each tile is 32 bits by 32 bits. And this is a picture, of course, is a close-up of the snow with the right and left, the top right and the bottom right edges rounded. So it'll probably sit on some kind of a platform. And this one isn't animated. You can see on the left-hand side, you've got your palette, and then you've got a palette kind of chooser on the bottom left, and then all the layers and frames down here. This has only got one frame because there's no animation involved with it. It's just basically a block of snow. That's always going to be a block of snow. But if we come in here to the main character now, and let's get the right one here, right here, we can see that this is an 8-frame animation. So it can come and click this play button, and the character's going to play. So this would be the character standing there. He's breathing hard. It's cold out, so you can see his breath or her breath, however it may turn out to be. And it clicks through the 8 frames. And I'm kind of liking how this one is looking. I think this is pretty much done. And then if we stop this, hide that, and then show the running animation, I'm using a character that I drew for about 1.5 years ago for a similar type of platformer. But it was in heat warm weather, so I completely need to redo the character. But I can still use the basic animation shapes, which I like how they came out. So we can see that this is basically an entire running animation if we click through all 8 frames. And what I'm doing now is taking this shape of the legs and arms and just recoloring it with the orange and black of the character that I'll use in this game. And I'm not sure why this one here is frozen. You can see that they're in exactly the same shape. That's not correct. I have to fix one of these two. Probably looks like this one to make it a little bit different so it will hitch. Because I bet if we play this now, it's going to look awkward because it's got blue and orange, but you're going to see a hitch on, yeah, see there's that hitch there. He freezes right there. Freezes. So I got to fix that. I got to redraw number 2 and adjust those positions there. But that's just kind of a behind the scenes look at the art creation process that I've been learning about and digging into as we make this kind of game jam game. So there you have it. So that's kind of a look at what got done. I feel like this week a lot of good things done. Some progress in Laser Defender, and I'm going to try to keep that fresh. So when I go back to it after the game jam, I won't lose all my progress. It's nice to get back into pixel artwork, and then some pretty good progress, some basic progress on the Tundra Runner, at least the framework of the game. So still a lot of work to do there, but it felt like it was a good week of progress. And I think going forward, of course, I want to make another 7 days of progress on Game Jam. I'm hoping for a big weekend. I might try to take 2 big chunks of Saturday and Sunday, maybe 4 or 5 hours, and try to work on it, because it's going to need more than a half an hour a day to do this. And that's mainly kind of what I've been doing over the course of the last 4 or 5 days, is spending about an hour, maybe up to 2 hours working on some of the stuff. So it's starting to consume a little bit more time, but it's feeling really good. And in terms of what's between the ears, I'm feeling pretty good. I got really confused with the Laser Defender stuff and was totally lost. But then I said, okay, slow down. Go back through the same stuff you did yesterday. I took a whole day to review and revisit what I did the day before, and that helped straighten that out. If anything, I'm feeling a little bit of stress from the Game Jam thing because I feel like I have to finish it and I want to finish it, and that's requiring a lot of time, and work and stuff has been busy, so it's kind of a lot of conflict of interest here. And but I'm hopeful the weekend will sort that out. What I have been spending the time on it has been good. I don't want to burn out on this either, so that's one of the thoughts is I don't want to do 5 hours a day and then stop in February. That's not the goal of here. So I want to try to make sure that I'm not doing so much that I burn out. But other than that, so far so good. I'm cautiously optimistic and excited about being able to build this Game Jam game. It is so much fun to break away from the tutorials and get back into the Game Jam kind of thing. That feels really good. So from that perspective, thumbs up. I'm going to drive on. I'll be back in week 5. The whole next week pretty much is going to be spent just working on Game Jam, the Tundra Runner game. And if you want to check on progress offhand, I do tweet some stuff out pretty much every day in terms of what work has been done. And then the Trello board has day-to-day updates with the cards I get done and the ones that I'm working on. So thanks again for stopping by. I hope you've enjoyed this day and found something valuable. Have tips on how to make this better or things you're interested in seeing that would be cool as well. So please let me know in the comments. If you are learning game design, what are you doing? I'd love to hear from you and love to hear what kind of things are going on and where you're having fun and where you're getting stuck as well, things like that. So take care, everybody, and hope you can make cool things and play cool games, and we'll see you next week.